Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You are now listening to Street Apologist Media, Street Apologist Radio. My name is Vocab Malone. How y'all doing out there? All right, here's what I need you to do. I need you to share this video right now. I need you to grab the link and share it. I need you to hit the thumbs up button. Tonight, I'm going to be discussing with Khamr again this recent viral video clip of the One West Hebrew Israelites, specifically House of Israel, in this whole situation with the Native Americans, quote, versus the Covington high school kids wearing the MAGA hats. But there's a lot more to it, as we discussed earlier today, and by popular demand, we are doing a part 2. What I'm showing you right now is sped up about 25% or so, and this is right before the viral movement. So watch this closely. Hit the thumbs up button again on the video, and I'm going to show you. So what's happening now are the high school kids over here waiting on the bus, and they're mainly getting tormented and taunted the whole time by the Hebrew Israelites. And they're doing high school chants. So one of the kids now is taking off his shirt, and he's going to do the whole high school dance and all that stuff, right? It's sped up a little bit. That's why the speed looks funny. I'm trying to get through it. And they're saying he's a K-beast and everything else. So my job here today is to explain more about the Hebrew Israelites, this event, their role in it, and explain their theological statements that they make in this. Everybody let me know in the live chat if you can hear my microphone nice and clear. In a second here, I'm going to bring up Abu. But what I'm going to do is, after this clip, you're going to see my face. I'm going to introduce Abu. I'm going to introduce tonight's show a little bit more. And then I'm going to play the moments surrounding the moments that went viral. But right now, you're seeing the lead up to it. Again, it's sped up. But this is never seen before footage. No one else in the media has found this footage that I found. If you notice, the quality is much better than anything you've seen on the news. And the angles are different. I don't know if you've noticed this, because this stuff just came out and I just uncovered it. I have a source for this stuff, and this is something you have not seen anywhere else, nor could you, because nobody else has done it. So now you've got a sense of the context. Again, this is Street Apologist Radio, Street Apologist Media. My name is Vocab Malone, a Christian apologist. I'm chilling with a member of Shield Squad tonight, Khamr, and we're going to break down the situation. We did one earlier today. It was very well received, and by popular demand, we are doing a second one. So with that, Khamr, welcome back. 2 times in one day.
Yes, sir, and good evening from the East Coast over here, but thank you very much.
So what was your reaction, or as you thought about the first program we did earlier today, what has your sort of reflection on the matter been?
The idea that kept going around in my mind is as was covered in the first show. I learned from you that they went there consciously. They deliberately went there to be in the same space as the Native American protest that was going on. And for me, because as I had mentioned earlier today, that I was under the impression that their presence there was just a coincidence, that they had no idea that was going on and they took advantage of it. But what kept going on in my mind is that if they went there deliberately, as you informed me, knowing that was going to be there, the whole thing just becomes increasingly ironic. The irony is almost hard for me to fathom, because they also complained about others disrespecting these Native Americans, yet it's now my understanding that, based on what you told me, that they went there with the objective of disrespecting these Native American drummers, these protesters, and attacking, straw-manning their beliefs. It's been hard for me to wrap my mind around it.
Well, yeah, they had announced it. They had actually announced it, and so like on their Facebook Live and all that stuff, they had said, this is what we're going to do, this is where we're going to be, blah blah blah. And by the way, I sent an email out to some of the members. I found some of the members' YouTube channels, and I sent an email out asking them if some of them would like to come on and discuss this from their perspective. So that's an invite still out there. I sent an email, I sent a Facebook message, and actually I've got a hold of a phone number. I'm going to call them and find out if they would like to share. I noticed there's a little bit of lag in my video, but what I'll do is, what I've done before when this happens, I just speak closer to the mic so my words don't necessarily look too far off. This is live streaming after all. All right, now I'm going to play the moment. Now, you had not seen this before, Abu. Can you explain what people are about to see? This is the moment and the context surrounding it. Explain why this video clip we're about to show is so absolutely vital, why it's so important, what it teaches us, Abu.
Is this is the one where the drummers first walk in, correct?
Yep, where I've got it in slow motion for a part just so people can really see exactly what's happening. I've already played the beginning, the context, and now I'm going to play this.
Okay, what's significant for me is, if some may recall, I mean, now a lot of people may have lost track of what the original outrage was over, but the original outrage within the sphere of social media at large and mainstream media was this idea that some drummers were minding their business and these kids surrounded them and mocked them. So what this video shows is that the kids, as we discussed in the previous show, the kids were riled up and chanting against the House of Israel guys who had been taunting them and yelling all kinds of anti-Catholic stuff and talking about pedophile priests and father hands and all that and blah, blah, blah. And so it had reached the point where these teenagers were acting like teenagers and chanting against them and mocking them. And the Native American drummers then walk into the midst of that. They enter right in between the House of Israel members and these teenage boys from the Catholic school who were already riled up and chanting, and they wind up moving right into the midst of that. So rather than the Catholic schools coming to them, they came to them.
And originally, the way the media portrayed it, and is still, to a certain extent, sticking with that narrative, is what, Abu? You know what I'm saying? The original way this was portrayed was what? Versus what happened?
That it was some sort of, distinctly Trumpian, racist mockery of indigenous persons and stuff like that, that they were just engaging in a display of their culture, and and these boys surround them as an homage to Trump with their hats, they mocked them and yelled "Build the wall" or something like that. That's the way it was originally depicted, that their chanting was intended as mockery of these Native Americans, when really the chanting started before they walked into the midst of this maelstrom.
Right. Now, to be clear, I did not vote for Trump. Actually, on the internet, if you look hard enough, you can actually find some radio programs I did with atheists, believe it or not, who wanted to hear my perspective on why I was, kind of going by the Never Trump hashtag. Now, I know that makes some of you mad, others happy, but I'm just speaking facts here. And they wanted to know my perspective on why some evangelical Christians would go that route. And I gave my reasons why I would not go that route. And my point by saying all that is that this is not a Trump supporter defending people wearing Trump hats. I kind of put that issue to a side, although I understand it's key to the media's narrative in a lot of ways. I focus more on the fact that they were there for March for Life, and the fact that had been underreported as far as the numbers, which are pretty amazing. I put a video on my Facebook wall that is a time-lapse, 1 minute, that shows how many people came through the March for Life. It's pretty impressive. We're talking a lot of people. There may have been 10,000. It's difficult to know. And what the media did decide to report is this, which was decidedly given as fake news. And so we're trying to say, well, let's give the full story, and let's look at the Hebrew Israelites' involvement is. That's our key interest. Yes, concerned about truth, but also the Hebrew Israelite involvement. So with that, I play the clip that has not been seen anywhere as far as major media, and from this angle and this fashion. Okay, people have shown the fuller thing. Now I'm going to slow it down a little bit. I'm part of it, but I want you to watch very carefully here. So remember the clip you just saw in the beginning? This is right after that, and watch carefully what happens, everybody. Here we go.
The future jesters in the kingdom.
So notice, first of all, what they're saying. He's saying the future gestures in the kingdom. What they're trying to say is that when they reign and rule, Hebrew Israelites believe that they're going to reign and rule their own kingdom given to them by God, they think. He's saying that these guys are jokers. They'll be the court jesters. That's what they're saying. But notice the students are they're all sitting down as they wait. So they had been going back and forth for quite some time, the students and the Hebrew Israelites. And the Hebrew Israelites literally had given up speaking to the Native Americans and to anyone else, and were just yelling at these students the whole time who were there waiting on their bus. They really had no idea what was going on. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Did I say 10,000? I guess it's closer to 100,000. I don't know what I saw, Elizabeth. I'm so sorry about that. You're saying it could have been upwards of 500,000? Well, that is, of course, quite a wide thing. But I am listening. I think it was 100,000. I don't know why I said 10,000. Excuse me on that.
Yeah, million as well. That's what I was hearing as well.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry, everybody. I said the wrong number, okay? I said the wrong number. Yes, 150,000 to 600,000. Perhaps I read a mainstream media news report and it got stuck in my head. But now watch this. Here's the part where they come in. So this is the camera from one of the Hebrew Israelites. Nothing's in between them. They're sitting down. Now watch. Now everyone, they're going to say Gad. They're going to say, here comes Gad. The Hebrew Israelites believe that Native Americans, except for the Seminoles, who they think belong to Reuben, go on their 12 tribes chart as members of the ancient Israelite tribe called Gad. The reasons for that are based out of Genesis 49 and some other factors, all which are fallacious and dubious to say the least, but nonetheless, they're going to say Gad. So when they say Gad, they're saying, here come the Native Americans. In one West Hebrew Israelite speak. Here it is.
Look at these demons. Look at these demons. Look. See how much they respect you, Israel?
See how much they respect you, Israel? Because they're saying they're bowing down. They're saying that they're kneeling.
Right. This is how much.
Now, do you hear that? So that sound was not present before. Now you'll hear the drums approaching. So listen carefully. You're going to hear the drums approaching with the chanting approaching. Now, I'm not necessarily saying, again, I'm not saying this was wrong. Nathan Phillips said he saw a tense situation. He came to diffuse it between the Hebrew Israelites and the students. Now, notice there's quite a distance between them. But nonetheless, he said that that's what he was doing. But watch the way it went down. I think it made it crazier. I don't think the students had any idea what was going on. In fact, from other camera angles, you can hear a number of them saying, "What is going on? Where is the bus? Where's the bus?" These kids had no idea what they were involved with. And I don't think anyone at the Indigenous Peoples Rally did either, because people don't know about Hebrew Israelites, hence this two-part video series. Here is the moment, everyone. Stay glued. Here we go.
Right. This is how much.
Go ahead, what you say?
Okay, does everyone see what happened? Abu, you're not able to hear the sound, are you? You're only seeing the picture?
Correct. That's correct.
I'll fix that with the next clips. I'll fix that.
No worries.
As long as you mute yourself, I'll be able to fix that. So, do you want to comment on what happened? What I'm going to do is I'm going to play it, but without sound. And I kind of want you to narrate, Abu, because I think that clip was pretty important in this overall discussion. What's going on there, Abu?
Well, I mean, as we've discussed several times now, it's them inserting themselves into this kerfuffle, or whatever you want to call it, this interaction, this hostile interaction between or sophomoric interaction between the members of the DC camp of House of Israel and the students from Covington Catholic High School, and so that's the gist of it. They're inserting themselves into it. I mean, that's the most significant point, the way I put it.
All right, and so you've watched a number of clips, and you've watched probably hours of this footage at this point. Is that accurate? Because I know I know I have.
Certainly, yeah, I'd say that's about right.
Moderators, timeout Russian bot. Not because of the name. It seems like it's a real person based upon the comment. But the comment is what we're going to consider racist. So if you talk that way one time, yeah, but Elizabeth, thank you for warning him, but also time him out. You can't come in here doing stuff like that. We don't do that. If he speaks that way again, you'll be removed. We disagree with people without name-calling of that type. Some name-calling is okay, but once you get into racial kind of name-calling, that's where we drive chat everybody. All right, so now I'm showing this, and it's kind of a ruckus, but this is a different angle from the Hebrew Israelites' perspective. So notice, since it's from the angle of the Hebrew Israelites' perspective, they're in front of them, and the students on the other side, because they literally came in the middle. And the students don't seem to know what's going on. They start jumping with them. It's almost like good times or something. And they're smiling and laughing. I don't know. I just think there's a lot of misunderstanding here. Now, can you explain, Abu, the language that these guys used? Remember, you've got this memorized, and it's kind of hard to hear. What are the One Westers talking about right now? Their discussion amongst themselves. Can you explain it to the audience?
Yeah, from what I recall, because I can't hear right now, but from what I recall, they were saying first, they were saying, "Oh, look, now they want to join in." So they were insinuating that these Catholic students wanted to join the drummers. Like all of a sudden you're with them. And for me, I thought that was significant because it shows that at least right at the moment, before the whole political swing took effect, the members of House of Israel interpreted the behavior of the Catholic students as positive towards the drummers. Moreover, then they also said something to the effect of, you see, Gad put that spirit on them, Gad calmed them down, got them to calm down. And so, again, I think that's relevant because I take it as them acknowledging that it was dissipating. They were riled up for House of Israel, but once the Native American drummers got in there, while there might have been a little bit of rambunctiousness, a little bit of rowdiness, a little bit of weirdness, nonetheless, it quickly dissipated. They quickly calmed down, and it seems at least a good portion of them had respectful intentions towards the Native American drummers.
No doubt, and if you watch, it's funny. All of a sudden, the Israelites seem quite upset that they're no longer the center of these fellas' attention. So they're trying to yell at them, saying all kinds of crazy stuff, and they seem rather angry that it's no longer about them. Now, the next thing I'm going to show is sped up again because it's rather long. It's literally, see where we are right now, it's paused. It's literally from there where the drummers were there and everything else. And what I did is I stopped it where I stopped hearing the drumming. So at this point on, I don't exactly know where the drummers went. It seems like they kind of sifted out is what it seems like happened, because all of a sudden you just simply don't hear them. You don't hear any chanting. They're just gone. And what you have is you have the Hebrew Israelites kind of like, hey, pay attention back to us. I mean, they don't say that, but that is the way they act. But this is not any part I'm going to analyze in depth, even though they say all kinds of raucous, just crazy things in these clips. We just don't have time to do it all. So what I'm going to show now is the end of the situation. Hold on, let me grab this last file. And so I hope I've explained it. This is going to show the whole thing of them to the point where they're waiting on the bus and right after. It's actually 60 minutes long. So what I wanted to do, Abu, is see if you and I could just kind of reiterate some of the stuff we talked about earlier and kind of talk over this clip. There's nothing necessarily for you to hear in here. I'm just showing people what they haven't seen anywhere. So what you're seeing now, as the Native American drummers left, the students are engaging the Hebrew Israelites again, and the Hebrew Israelites are engaging the students again. And there's still quite a large amount of distance between them. More students have come because more students are waiting on the bus, and they're just kind of going back and forth. And right now is the whole part about you guys all have school shooter haircuts. Do you remember that part of it, Abu? Do you remember what he was saying? Oh, you guys have school shooter haircuts? That's why they're taking off their hats now, some of them.
One of many very low blows. Not.
Yeah, do you remember what they were trying to say there about the whole school shooter thing? Do you remember those clips?
I don't remember it well, but I assumed it was just something, they were depicting it as something indicative of their race, saying, you kids are of a certain race, and or in the parlance of One Westers, you're of a certain nation, that being the nation of Edom, according to One West anthropology, I guess. they were assuming the school shootings are indicative of Edomites. I think that was the insinuation.
Right. Can you explain Edomites? So we actually did not get to talk much about this the first show, and now let's explain it. Why do One West styled Hebrew Israelites, such as the House of Israel, why do they call folks who appear to be of European descent Edomites, and what does that mean to them in their religion?
Okay, so what it has to do with is once, and this sort of predates One West. Once Israelites, and by this I mean what are colloquially referred to as Black Hebrew Israelites. I understand that now many One Westers balk at that designation, but it's used because of in part because of the the central doctrine is that the members of the African diaspora in the Americas are Israelites. When so-called Black Hebrew Israelites began to assert that members of the African diaspora were Israelites, it did raise a question of what about all these white Jews, and what about so-called whites in general? And initially, before One West, one of the explanations was that the so-called the more European-looking Jews came from Japhet, because the thing is, they didn't just want to identify them; they wanted to find a reference in the Bible, and there is an obscure reference in the Bible to Japhet dwelling in the tents of Shem. So initially, some Israelite groups before One West would claim that that was referring to the conversion of or the assumption of the Israelite identity by white converts. But then I don't know if it began with Abba Bivens, but he certainly was someone who endorsed it in that audio clip that exists. They started saying that white Jews and whites in general are Edomites, that they're the descendants of Esau, the brother of Jacob. And that originally was based on primarily Genesis 25, the 25th verse of the 25th chapter of Genesis states that Esau came out red, so they interpreted that to mean something indicative to like blushing. He shows blood in his face. And so they argued that Genesis 25:25 showed that Esau was a white man, and therefore all white men are descendants of Esau. In the decades since then, they've slowly built it up a little bit more. They've built up a breakdown of the book of Obadiah, which they interpret in light of mainly American history. And then there's a few other passages, but that's the gist of it mainly. And then they've also stumbled across certain polemics that, like rabbinic polemics and other texts that would refer to like the Roman Empire as Edom. And so they've also ran with that, and that's the gist of it. But yeah.
Excellent. Now I'm going to set you up for the next question I'm going to ask you, Abu, which is the comments about incest children and things like that. I'm going to have you explain like some of those types of comments that were being made towards the students. Notice here, by the way, the chaperones are telling the students to back up here. Some of the New York Times articles were saying, some of the articles I found on Cincinnati.com, because Covington, Kentucky is a small place, but it's outside of Cincinnati, because Cincinnati, Ohio is by Kentucky. Hey, Imogen 1996, I see you. Hey, everyone else in the live chat, I got love for y'all. Anyway, Cincinnati.com had some articles where they're saying, where are the chaperones at? Well, the chaperones are actually telling the students to back up, and the students, by and large, are listening. And so they are there. I mean, they're just waiting for the bus. If the bus would have came sooner, this would never happen. But part of the reason I'm showing this extended clip like this, and again, I remind you, it's sped up, so it looks more kinetic than it really is, if that comment makes sense. I hope it does. But it's still 16 minutes long, even though it's sped up twice. Do the math. I'm no mathematician. That means the original after the fact encounter was 32 minutes or so long. Here's what I mean by that. The part that everyone saw with the Native Americans and the Hebrew Israelites was only a few minutes long. It was very brief. There was a whole thing before with the students, and prior to that, where they were mainly going after Native Americans. And I'm going to show you one encounter between the Hebrew Israelites and the Native Americans that is especially troubling in a little bit here. And now what you're seeing is all the aftermath. So that the Native American drummers are gone. They're just talking to these students the whole time. This is 16 minutes worth of footage, sped up twice. That means it was 32 minutes long until the buses come. We're going to talk over this whole thing because I want you guys to get a sense of how long this went on and how this is really the students versus the Hebrew Israelites. And before that, Hebrew Israelites versus the Native Americans. That's a much closer reality what's happening. By the way, share this link, please, ASAP, all over social media. Copy it, share it, and hit thumbs up because we're almost at 100 viewers, and it'd be nice to get that 100 again as well. Abu, why do the Hebrew Israelites say to the students things like you're the product of incest and things like that? How does that figure into their insults towards the other, as it were?
Well, I mean, that's sort of a... First off, there's a lot of an obsession with the alleged sexual proclivities of others. That's a major one. So even people who they wouldn't consider Edomites, I mean, oftentimes, I won't say necessarily with House of Israel, but you see this with GMS and certain other One West groups, that if even someone who would fall on their tribe chart starts to, oppose them, they begin to, like if it's a woman, they accuse her of all kinds of sexual impropriety. If it's a man, they quickly question his sexual orientation, and in somewhat less than polite ways. And so there's that. But then not only with specifically the people that they consider Edomites, it also has to do with the fact that they see them as the rulers of the current secular society that they live in, and see them as not opposing all the changing sexual mores in this country. And so they sort of project that onto everyone of that morphology. So because the people at the top of our secular government don't oppose homosexuality, then therefore everyone of that morphology, everyone who's quote unquote white, therefore has no objections to homosexuality and so on. And
sorry, I'm so sorry to interrupt. I need to draw the audience's attention to this part. Here's where the buses come. So I went back about 20 seconds. So notice again, see the signs the students are holding, defund Planned Parenthood, which is an excellent sign, by the way. Me as a Calvinist Protestant, I'm not supporting the students in the sense of, hey, Roman Catholic, because I'm not a fan of Rome, as Abu knows. We talk about this. But I am a fan of pro-life activists, at least the good ones, and going and reminding the nation of the fact that it murders babies in a way like this, especially young students doing this. I'm glad about that. That's where I find solidarity with these folks. They're still high school students, and I see that. But notice, the second the bus comes, they literally just take off. So watch, here's the part right here, and I'm going to let Abu continue on. See the elation? And they're gone. Now, what I want to show you is watch the Hebrew Israelites literally pivot. They literally pivot around as quick as they can. What do? They start yelling at the Native Americans prayer circle behind them. Did you see that? Again, notice that. The second the students leave, everyone watch this. This is so indicative of their behavior. The second the students leave, and I'm showing the clip where they're going to run off. I'm re-showing this again and again to pound it into everyone's head. The Hebrew Israelites pivot like a basketball player. And what do? They immediately start cursing out the folks who are in the prayer circle. And what they do is they start calling them Democrats and hippies and things like that. So I think they assume they're kind of doing a kumbaya thing. So watch this again. They immediately start doing it. If you could hear the insults they hurl, it's like these guys don't miss a beat when it comes to insulting people in the crowd. Watch.
Thus saith the Lord.
Thus saith the Lord.
What the hell? We surrounded by demons.
And thus America will burn. Now let's see what we got over here. And they turn around and say, look at all these demons. Do you guys understand the mentality of One West? Watch.
Thus saith the Lord.
Thus saith the Lord.
What the hell? We surrounded by demons. What the hell is going on?
We're surrounded by demons because, he turns around and there's demons behind and demons just left in front. That's what he's saying.
Peace circle.
Now this is a peace circle. Kumbaya. Kumbaya. Ain't gonna be no peace until blood is shed.
That's right.
Because you gotta give up this land that's stolen.
That's right.
You gotta give it up. It was built on rape, robbery, and murder. And you have to give it up. That's the only way you will have peace. You gotta give up this land, man.
Okay, so the students are gone and now they literally immediately start, verbally assaulting the folks behind him in the peace circle. Okay, so Abu, continue on. I'm sorry about that. I wanted to make sure people caught that aspect. And continue on with what you're saying if you can remember where you were at.
Where I was. Actually, I think that was a perfect segue because it sort of shows that you shouldn't take their insults too seriously because they're basically just lined up for whomever is in their presence and doesn't agree with them. Of course, their greatest amount of hostility are for the people they consider Edomites, but then they have an almost comparable hatred for everyone else that they consider off their chart, whom they consider other nations. And so this would be Asians, people of sub-Saharan Africa, Arabs, a lot of disrespect for Arabs, and so on down the line. And and then they also have a level of vitriol for people who appear on their tribe's chart, yet nonetheless disagree with them on some point. And this is what we were saying before, that they were being they were acting in a way that is typical for many of these groups where they just get out there and they try to pick fights with people, with anyone. And that's what you just showed is indicative of that because here it is, their main foil has disappeared and they go back to their original target, which was the Native Americans, whom they apparently deliberately showed up to berate and insult and so on, and so with regards to the sexual accusations, this is sort of just a general thing that they put on everybody. I mean, of course, they put it most on the people they consider Edomites, but they put it on everyone, all sorts of insults. We don't like you, and so therefore we're going to accuse you of all kinds of things, of being hippies, of being Democrats, of gross sexual impropriety. and so of being a drunkard, of being addicted to quote unquote fire water, the phrase they used, and so on down the line.
All right, so there is about let's see here, I think 6 minutes or so left of this clip, and I'm gonna let it play through because what's crazy is it goes all the way into the night. They're gonna still be speaking, and it's gonna be clearly evening. And if you notice, most of the video footage you've seen it's already getting dark, you can tell. But most of the video footage you've seen is during the day. These guys were out there, and they stayed out there, and this is what they do. Again, though, most people don't understand Hebrew Israelism. This behavior is absolutely par for the course. They go out in a downtown area on a Saturday night, which they call Sabbath. This is how they perform their Sabbath rest, everyone. I kid you not. And they will come out to a place at 2 o'clock, and they'll stay till 8 o'clock. Now, some of the camps have a little less, stamina than others, but some of the camps they'll just be out there. And so, again, I tell everyone this is sped up because I play it at its normal speed would be maddening, but I'm letting you see the full context of what happened. And after this part is over, what I'm going to do is go back and actually analyze some of the actual clips, because so far I haven't played a whole lot of stuff with volume level. I'm just showing you what's going on so that we can comment. On this. Abu and I, we've studied this group, the Hebrew Israelites, and are trying to give a context so people can understand better who the House of Israel Hebrew Israelites were. And you can tell the pro-life marchers have no idea what is going on. They simply have no idea what is happening. But it's a pretty bizarre thing. Ruth's 5 Angels, thank you so much for the super chat. I am going to try to do a freestyle at the end of the show, and I'll still owe everyone a freestyle. I just need to say that. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to go live tomorrow. Usually I'd go live on Tuesdays. Abu, I'm about to hand it over to you in a second here. I usually go live on Tuesdays, but doing 2 live streams in one day is a little bit taxing, and I don't know if I'm going to go live again tomorrow. I have not decided yet. I don't think it'll be on this subject again unless something else new pops up. But again, I remind you, the footage you're seeing, you haven't seen in any major media news outlet, and the angle and the video quality is better than anything that's out there because I was able to track down some of the sources from the Hebrew Israelites themselves to this. And so this is, I think, very enlightening, very eye-opening stuff. All right, Abu, general comments on that while we finish this out. We have 3.5 minutes that I just want to continue to flesh this out before we start analyzing some of the comments. Abu, make sure you're unmuted, by the way, bro.
I'm here. It's funny. A thought that just came to my mind now when you were talking about how this, we all seem to we're all at risk of losing sight of the fact that this was largely a pro-life march. I want to put that within the context of Westers in general, including House of Israel, not limited to them. They'll sort of play this shell game where they'll insult people, and when people respond negatively, they'll declare, we're just here reading the Bible. We're just trying to teach people the Bible. And you see how these demons are coming against us. And it's interesting. So, because they have Bibles in their hand, if you oppose them, you're opposing the Bible. That's sort of the game they play. It's interesting to wonder aloud if they're so hostile to people who happen to be pro-life protesters, would they accept the insinuation that this means that they're therefore on the other side of that divide? And of course they wouldn't. Of course they're hostile to abortion. They're very hostile to abortion. But nonetheless, it's worth noting to show how cheap their polemic is. If you oppose us while we're holding the Bible, that means you're opposing the Bible, which is as bad as saying, if you oppose these kids wearing these silly MAGA hats, then you're opposing opposition to abortion and therefore you're endorsing it. Something like that.
Looks like we got an interesting guy in the live chat. I'm putting this comment on the screen. Lex the Luciferian Goat TV. By the way, moderators, don't block him or anything. I think what he's saying is fine. We're allowed to do this. It's just the racial stuff and some of that. Let this guy alone. He's fine. He says this: the sun curses white skin. This is proof they belong underground in hell.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to do with that, but okay. Thank you from Lex the Luciferian.
You don't have anything to say?
I mean, I don't know. Being that the gentleman's name is Lex Luciferian, I'm not even sure if he means that pejoratively. He maybe belongs in hell in a positive sense. I have no idea. I'm not familiar with the gentleman.
It's like, okay, what about this? Another commenter says, "You Caucasians are Edomites. Deal with it."
That's a profound argument there, but actually, it's good for people to see that because it's something to keep in mind. Many of these groups, when they become frustrated, they assuage their own frustration. They mitigate their own frustration by speculating about the lineages of people who criticize them. You know, of course, most of these guys don't even know their own lineages, and they certainly don't know the lineages of anyone else. But yet they're happy to make these speculations, and if you press them on it, maybe they'll appeal to the fact that they allegedly have an ability to read spirits, which also came up from this particular camp. They said that they were reading people's spirits. They could read the spirits of West Africans and know they're not Israelites. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna play some more clips here, Abu, in a second here, and I want to let you take some time to comment on these. So I'm going to play them so you will be able to hear the sound. And then give me a second. I actually got to take care of a couple of things. And so I want you to comment on this if you can. I'm going to give you a longer clip here. This is a clip that's a showdown. If you remember earlier, I asked you, had you seen this anywhere? And you said no. So I'm going to play this clip here. That's a showdown. So I need to turn the volume up. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it where you can hear this, okay? And let me know, Abu, if you can hear this properly, and everybody else. This is a showdown. So, Abu, this is 4 minutes. So after this 4-minute showdown, if you could please offer some commentary. You guys won't be able to see me just right now. I'll be back in just a second while this plays. I got to take care of something real quick here. Here we go.
Commandments of God. Right. Whoever's a faggot and a lesbian and a dyke and a child molester. Bring it out. Like R. Kelly and like the damn Playboy Mansion bastard they don't mention.
Hugh Hefner.
What's his name?
Hugh Hefner.
Hugh Hefner. Like they don't mention him. The Lord said what? And like this child molesting faggot priest right there.
Oh, definitely.
Because that's all they produce. The Catholics are never child molesters. Because the Catholics, that's what they worship. They worship men, children. And I'm pointing at him. You should be careful. That's what I'm doing. Go ahead.
You pointed out a man.
Read that.
You pointed out a man.
When I say unto the wicked, oh wicked man, that shall surely die.
You got it?
Go ask the speaker. Go ask the speaker. Go ask the speaker.
Look at what
Go ask the speaker.
Oh, okay.
Go ask him.
That's make America great again. A bunch of child molesting faggots. Just like your damn Donald Trump. If you Google, go on YouTube, and you see your faggot president kissing Giuliani when Giuliani dressed like a drag queen.
That's right.
A damn faggot.
That's right.
That's all he is. A bunch of pedophiles. You want to talk about R. Kelly. Why we don't talk about the Catholic Church?
That's right.
Hey, why we don't talk about the Roman Catholic Church? Right. And especially you so-called Hispanics and Negroes, you got no business calling yourself a Roman Catholic.
Can you swim?
When's the last time?
Can you swim?
When's the last time you've been a Roman? You've been a Roman. When's the last time you so-called blacks, Hispanics been a Roman?
I can swim.
Then you the chosen people because you made it to the egg first.
Come on, man.
He cooning now.
Now you been the uncle. Now you been the Uncle Tomahawk. Don't be an Uncle Tomahawk. Don't be.
Go there with me.
You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that, brother. Don't do that. Because you jumping up. You jumping up. Don't do that, brother.
You disrespectful.
Because you want to coon now. You want to coon now. Ain't no coon here. You might as well put on one of them red hats.
You might as well put on a white hat.
One of them red hats.
Who you think you
You a
is?
simple Uncle Tom.
Fuck you.
That's right. I hear you.
Fuck you,
I see you. You foaming from the mouth. You can't take it. I hear you. You got rapists. Rapists in your demons.
Yeah, you got rapists in your fucking mind.
Nah, he ain't doing that.
He ain't doing that. He ain't
Uncle
doing that.
Tomahawks. This is the reason why we stuck in the condition that we in. I ain't telling you to be scared of me. I'm telling you, you better be scared of God, nigga.
That's right.
I damn right I ain't God. I'm warning you, nigga.
That's right.
I'm warning you,
That's
nigga.
right.
That's right. I'm not. I'm not.
Shut your big ass mouth.
Speak like that to your parents.
My parents are dead.
Well, then speak like that to
You
them.
understand?
Speak like that to them.
Shit.
I hear you.
Why you got all these dirty ass crackers behind you
Right.
with a red make America great hat to get on, and your coon ass you want to fight your brother.
Right.
You got all these racist bastards.
Bring that out.
You nigga,
Right.
with all these crackers with racist ass make America great hats on, and you gonna talk about you gonna get high as goddamn
You ain't doing nothing on the White House.
Uncle Ruckus.
What you doing? We wanted the people, fool. We wanted the people, fool. We just told you God sent us.
Ignore him.
That's right. You're about to get ignored.
Ignore
You're
him.
dismissed.
Ignore him.
Hey, Abu, did you hear that guy get his old school Mr. T on just there?
Yeah.
Okay, so Abu, a couple people were asking what the heck is going on. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to explain to people one more time what is going on. And then, Abu, I want you to offer specific commentary on some of the things said in that clip. What's going on, everybody, is myself, Christian apologist, Vocab Malone. You're listening to Street Apologist Radio. And Abu Khamr, who has been studying the Hebrew Israelites for years. We are analyzing a clip, actually a number of clips from the Hebrew Israelites. And what the clips are, they are from a March for Life rally. And also what was happening there at the Lincoln Memorial was a indigenous people celebration. And at that, you had the Hebrew Israelites causing ruckus with everybody. And so we're analyzing the actions and events specifically of the Hebrew Israelites. And just what you saw there was a key part where they almost had a physical showdown with one of the folks who was there for Indigenous Peoples Day. All right, so Abu, break it down.
Well, I mean, I think that really does sum up how they were there just attacking everyone. As for their specific comments, I mean, we actually got to see an example of how, here it is, they're antagonizing people, and when someone has a negative reaction, not that, of course, I'm not endorsing the cursing and so forth, or the emotion and the passion that came out in that regard, but nonetheless, they get these negative reactions that they're fishing for, and then suddenly they say, well, we're just out here warning the people, which is a parallel to what we were talking about earlier of saying, we're just out here reading the Bible to people. Why are you opposing us of all people? But a side note, when they were talking about Roman Catholics, they said, when's the last time you've been to Rome? You don't have any business calling yourself Roman. We brought this up in the earlier show when it came up with when they were saying, why don't you claim Rome to these kids from Covington. The interesting thing that gets left out there is these groups, including House of Israel, claim that they themselves were ruling Rome from the late 2nd century onwards, from the time of Septimius Severus, as they love to say, all the way to the time of the fall of Constantinople in the 15th century. So, I mean, in a sense, these guys claim to be the Romans for about 12 centuries there. I don't know. I felt like sharing that. That seemed poignant.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. And now let's get into actually analyzing some of the clips. The first one actually is not quite a clip as much as it is them trying to spit at somebody. So let me give you the context of what's going on here. The context is that this is only a 15-second clip. The context is that there's a guy who keeps on going by on a kind of fancy futuristic Tron-looking skateboard. He's playing music. Appears like it's reggaeton or something. And listen to what they say. I'm going to play 3 clips in a row that show you the way they treat people who bother them even though they're bothering everyone else. Listen to this.
He's a bozo.
I bet you he's a dumbass Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
They're saying to the guy playing the music loudly, because the guy's trying to distract people, I bet you he's a dumb A Puerto Rican. Listen to
I bet you're a simple Puerto Rican.
That's your tribe,
That's my simple ass tribe. And I can speak about Puerto Ricans because you looking at one. What the hell's wrong with you simple niggas?
So he's saying he's allowed to say negative things about Puerto Ricans because he's Puerto Rican. Now he says to the guy, who has a mask on, by the way, that's why you can't really tell who this guy is, that's playing the music all loud. He says, you look like a Republican too. Watch this. It's so funny. These guys they're kind of awesome in a perverse way. Check this out.
Okay? That's why Jim Khamr didn't make no treaty with Donald Trump. Because that damn goof knew better.
Oh, okay. You know, Abu, I know you didn't hear the last clip. I've got to rewind this because I actually want you to hear this. So here's where they say, you know, hey, everyone recognize that the white man is constantly our enemy, and he's, in a weird, perverse way, gives love to the leader of North Korea, all the while using racial slurs for him. By the way, shout out to you, Benjamin West. I see you right now, actually, through the service you just used, and I appreciate your love and support, Benjamin West. If you are listening right now, I see you actually as the show is going on. So listen to this, Abu. Check this out.
Okay? That's why Jim Malone didn't make no treaty with Donald Trump, because that damn goof knew better. That fat, out of shape goof knew better. You see this? This is what America produces. A bunch of assholes. You look like a Republican. You freaking.
So he goes from dissing the North Korean dictator to the guy in the skateboard. You look like, how can you know, how does a guy look like a Republican when you can't say anything about him? So apparently this guy is a Puerto Rican Republican simply by the way he's skating is what we're seeing now from the leader of House of Israel. It's kind of epic if you really analyze it.
Demon, put a red hat on this Republican.
Put a red hat on him, Mike.
Put a red hat on this Republican. And let me not just get on the Republicans because the Democrats ain't no better.
So just in case any folks on the left out there thought that, you know, these guys were allies, not so much. I actually cut short how much dissing they do of Democrats. From this point on, he goes on for a long time about how bad Clinton was. It's nonstop. I'm just going to play 30 seconds of it, but this dude just goes on and on and on. And again, he's going to say stuff that's not cool. Hey, Ben West, much love. I see you in the chat. Again, much love to you, bro.
There was more black and Hispanic people locked up during the Clinton era than any other president.
That's right. Bring that
But
out.
you so-called blacks and Hispanics got the nerve to call Bill Clinton your first black president. You out your mind. Why? Because he got a little head in the office? Because he smoked a little weed in the office? This is why you consider him to be your black president? That's why you fell for the words that were smoother than butter.
That's right.
Okay, the reason I played those is because now they feel like the guy who you can see right in the back. Everyone see him? He on the pause. See him on his fancy pants skateboard. I mean, that thing is pretty cool. It's got a light that throws on the ground. Someone said he looks like Daft Punk. I think it was Ben West. He does look like Daft Punk. This dude's like checking his iPhone or something while he goes around. He's all in black. This dude's like, this is Tron right now, man. This dude's taking it there. But I think it's funny he's rocking the reggaeton and all this stuff in front. It's kind of a funny way to deal with this type of trolling. You know, troll them back, but in a happy way. I kind of like guys like this. I bet this dude is like a blast to hang out with, especially if he lets you play with some of his fancy toys. I mean, this dude probably has a light-up motorcycle. Anyways, so I want to... this next clip, he tries to spit on him. The one Western guy tries to spit on this guy. But, hey, this guy's all, you know, doused out or, dubbed up or whatever in like Black Panther armor. So I don't think it's going to hurt him. He's got vibranium on. But listen, watch this guy try to spit on him. Watch this, everyone. This is epic.
Come closer, you won't catch this. Come closer, you won't catch it.
Pay him no mind.
I gotta play that again. And then Abu, after this little trilogy of clips, I'm gonna let you comment. But here, watch this again. It's just the levels of hatred in these guys' heart. It's like a nautilus shell. If you've ever studied the nautilus shells, they have these like little compartments and chambers where the creature that lives in them can go and close. It's a whole complex thing. These dudes, the hatred in their heart is like a nautilus shell, chamber after chamber. Hey, top student, thanks for paying the jizzy, by the way. Keep on Phillips Adu, top student. Much love to you, no doubt. Assalamu alaikum. All right, check this
out. Come closer, you won't catch this. Come closer, you won't catch it.
Pay him no mind.
All right, Abu, it's time for you to comment. This is epic, is it not?
Yeah, it's I guess so, in a horrendous sort of way. It's interesting, by the way. That guy, he has some sort of rank of chief. Apparently, he's sort of the leader of the camp, and yet this guy, the Shar Yakwataz or whatever his name is telling him to calm down. I assume he outranks him. and yet he's being told by a man, I guess, ranks lower than him to calm down. It shows how wild he is. It might be said that this is more indicative of GMS than some of these other. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's not appropriate, but it seems at this point with the spitting, they're starting to go off the deep end. They themselves are losing control of their sense of order.
Did you just say not appropriate to compare them with GMS? Have you forgot about the GMS clip, Abu?
Oh yes.
Okay. I'm going to play it right now. Abu, explain.
So that was an appropriate segue then.
Yes, explain right now, if you can, to the audience, why does this guy invoke GMS, and what does GMS have to do with anything? I'll meet you halfway there. I'll start it. This is House of Israel. They are a sect or a camp of One West Israelites, which is a certain style, a certain theological understanding of Hebrew Israelites that do not account for all Hebrew Israelites, but they do account for the ones you see on the street by and large. Now, here what we have is we're going to hear this guy mention GMS, who is a rival camp, by the way. The Bak Awar, you're saying we're making stuff up? We are literally playing clips and commenting on it. The Bak, do you feel okay to just make stuff up yourself? If not, you need to show us where we're making stuff up. Ain't nobody made nothing up.
Ask him to elaborate.
Yeah,
please.
Elaborate, prove. Okay, go ahead. Introduce the GMS clip, and then I'll play it.
Well, as you said, GMS and House of Israel, they're rival camps. Both of them descend from the old House of David. One thing I will say to the credit of House of Israel, they're usually much more ecumenical than GMS. They're willing to work with other camps. They're willing to show respect to other groups, even if they have disagreements with them doctrinally, while GMS is sort of on a rampage and hostile against almost everyone. And interesting, a little bit of trivia that in a very minor way relates back to our own Vocab Malone here. One of the things that first got Vocab Malone interested in the whole Israelite spectrum was seeing the guy down in, is it Cleveland, in one of these Ohio camps? Columbus, I'm sorry, thank you. The gentleman with the red beard, Rex Scientia, whatever he calls himself, invading churches. Now, why do I mention that? That seems like such a segue. One of the things that really set off GMS's nastiness towards House of Israel is when that, let's just call it what it is, that white member of GMS, he got arrested about 10 years ago. He was saying F the police, and a cop choked him and arrested him. And in that unfortunate situation, Zabach, the leader of House of Israel, left a comment saying on the video saying that's what happens when Edomites put on the garments. And from that moment onwards, Tahar went on a rampage, accusing Zabach of all kinds of stuff and, attacking his group and so on and so forth. And there's been this sort of rivalry ever since. It's sort of a one-way street. I think Zabach has largely taken the high road. The House of Israel doesn't respond in kind, but there is nonetheless.
Bro,
then I'm going.
Your compliments towards House of Israel are utterly fascinating
it's relative.
and hilarious to me.
We've criticized them. We can criticize. There's a lot to criticize, but I think when you compare them to GMS, I think there are times when they take a higher road than GMS, for whatever it's worth.
Whatever. GMS, now, the box says they don't have a ranking system. He's saying that's what we're making up. He's saying House of Israel does not have a ranking system.
I thank him for that correction. I myself was trying to convey that I didn't know, but I assumed that maybe one was higher than the other. But if they're not, I thank him for that correction. I myself didn't know. I tried to admit then it was a guess.
Yeah. So Dabak, Abu even said while he was saying that. Now I didn't say it, so that's all on Abu, 100%. I'll just throw you under the bus, bro. Why not? Dabak, he said this is speculation right there. Now, you're going to say House of Israel doesn't have a ranking system, but it's pretty clear Zabak is a leader of House of Israel. Abu, do you know if he has a title? Have you ever seen him?
No, priest Zabak, I don't know. I don't really pay a lot of close attention to House of Israel. I don't mean that disrespectfully. I'm just saying.
Well, maybe that's why they only have 4 or 5 camps, just because they don't have a ranking system. Maybe they're not organized enough. But, I mean, Zabak, if you're saying that and you know that for sure, okay, I mean, we
appreciate it. I actually appreciate that. If he said I was speculating, he's absolutely right. I would have admitted that up front. He's absolutely right. I was speculating on that. That was nonetheless. But getting back to this thing with GMS, we were going to set up this GMS.
You totally. By the way, you totally flubbed it. You should have been way quicker, dude.
Okay,
you're going on and on. We're trying to set up. They're trying to set up the fact that they're going to invoke.
There has been some bad blood between these groups because GMS is very critical of House of Israel, and nonetheless. One thing that I guess they might appreciate about GMS is constantly put curses on people, and they attempt to put those curses in Hebrew, and they're so-called Lashawan Kodash. And so he's going to allude to this because he wants to put some curses on people in Lashawan Kodash, but he sort of admits that he's unable to do so, and this would be one of the rare times that he would have appreciated having some GMS guys around.
All right, so I'm just teasing you, Abu. I'm glad you can handle it. What we're going to do is we're going to show this guy where what he's saying is, I wish I had memorized the curses that GMS does in the fake Hebrew language, because they have their own fake Hebrew language called Lashawan Kodash. And this guy's going to say, where's GMS when you need it? Because a lot of the camps have forgotten their fake Lashawan Kodash, but GMS specializes in uttering curses in Lashawan Kodash. So here the House of Israel guy longs for the ability to memorize them and speak them. And the cameraman apparently knows a few, so he helps him out with the liturgy. Everyone listen to this.
May the Lord strike him down and his damn children. May the Lord strike your mother and your father down. I wish I knew the curses in Hebrew. Where's GMS? Where's GMS in here?
Einash. Yahweh Einash Atah. Yahweh Shalach Rai.
I pray that the Most High cast your spirit down, you damn devil.
And of course, you notice they always involve people's family. So this guy was really irritating them. He wanted to curse him out GMS style.
Yeah.
So they use the invective psalms as justification for that, correct?
I would, yes, they do. I mean, if you press them on that, they would say that. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of questions there.
Now, I'm going to play one more clip.
Rude in speech. Paul was rude in speech. You know, they'll pull that one from the New Testament.
Where they say that when the kingdom comes, they're going to basically murder this guy on the skateboard. So I've actually entitled this clip Skate Blood. That's the way I've entitled it. So I want to play this for you guys and show you, these guys talk about, we're not violent, we don't do... But listen to what they talk about this skateboarder guy who's going around them playing the music. And this shows you the way to deal with these guys, by the way, is not by getting upset and angry at the stuff they say. That never works out. And they're going to say stuff like this. One way to deal with them is what this guy is doing, although this is not, what I would do. But it does make quite the spectacle. Listen to this clip.
But in the new kingdom, this man will get his head cracked to the white meat.
That's right.
To the white meat. His blood will be on his skateboard.
That's right.
His blood will be on his skateboard and his shoes. That's what's going to come. That's what's going to happen. And guess what? It might happen sooner than you think with the American.
All right, so here he's going to say because of the government shutdown, it might happen sooner than you think, because he's saying that if the cops can't protect you, which I have that clip I'm going to play in a second here, we might do this now. Now notice he said in the new kingdom, but how grotesque. Like, you have to have sort of the mind of what is it, Wes Craven or something? His head will be cracked down to the white meat.
It's indicative of their frustration, though, and we've talked about this before. See, we've mentioned this before. They believe that, the people that they claim will be their personal slaves and so on. A lot of that falls within their belief about reincarnation. They believe these people are going to be killed by missiles or laser beams or whatever it is, and then these people are going to be reincarnated. Now, there's an opportunity to crack some jokes on them to say, because he's saying his blood is going to be on his skateboard. So it's easy to crack a joke and say, does he believe his skateboard and his sneakers are going to be reincarnated as well? Or he's going to be reincarnated with his skateboard. But that attempt, that opportunity for satire aside, it's nonetheless worth pointing out that he said that because it sort of hints at the psychology. They're just so enraged and so frustrated with the moment that they go right into their public fantasies, and their public fantasies just draw on all the elements that are frustrating them. So not only do they imagine the person in the future being, torn apart by them, they imagine his skateboard being damaged as well.
Yo, someone is saying the Hebrew Israelites are coming to Covington tomorrow.
I don't even know what it means. And who are these Hebrew Israelites? I mean, I would love to see.
I don't know, but apparently this is the second person I've seen make this comment. At first I was unclear on what they were saying, and it just didn't seem right. This is the second person to say this. Comment Andy says, they come into Covington, Kentucky tomorrow. Hillbilly ghetto should be fun. Smiley face.
I don't know. I must confess I'm skeptical. And even if they are, it really depends which group it is. Some groups are more wild than others. Some groups are more capable, yet more disciplined. Like, for example, I wouldn't be surprised if, well, let me rephrase that.
Nah, bro.
Israel United in Christ, capable
IUIC is not going to cape for House of Israel.
No, they're not. Well,
they're not going to cape for them.
They on the media, but yeah, I don't think they're going to do it. But let's say hypothetically, the only reason I bring them up is because they're disciplined enough to organize the manpower, but they're also so disciplined that they're not going to do anything except get some media savvy coverage and stuff like that, and offer some pejorative statements and invite a few people to the faith. But a group that would be more wild would be like GMS, but GMS can't organize the men to make it out to Kentucky.
Well, you never know. They might have some members in the area, and then they could come. And then House of Israel, they'll be like the mending of fences, and they'll be like doing like a cheer squad thing. Like House of Israel will do the main part, and then they'll point to GMS, and GMS will then hit that curse, and then they'll hit the Lashawa and Quadas curse. Oh, see, Comment Andy says the Cincinnati chapter, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Well, yeah, but
well, that makes sense. No, that makes sense. But if he's saying Cincinnati chapter, that's not House of Israel, because House of Israel doesn't have a Cincinnati chapter according to their own website, unless they've grown. So it could be very well GMS or something like that. Some Hebrews from Cincinnati.
Do it because he's the one who needs to really reconcile with them. Maybe they'll finally embrace him.
Dad, did you hear about that new One West Hebrew Israelite camp out of Cincinnati, Abu? Did you hear about them?
I don't know anything about them.
WKRP.
We're showing our age with that one as well. There's a bunch of young men going, I don't get it.
No, that lasted on in Ohio as reruns. Remember, I'm from Columbus, so that show is never off the air because it's like that and the Drew Carey show are like the two shows set in Ohio.
I got you. All right.
Someone will laugh at that joke.
Yeah, people from Ohio or people our age. Those are the only ones. Young men from New York probably are like, wait, I don't know.
Well, I don't know that one, what's his name, Doc Cool or Johnny Cool or whatever. He says, yeah, they have members in Cincinnati. It's like 5 minutes away from Covington. Oh, boy, this is... Nah,
I don't know. I mean, it sounds... let me reiterate that I'm skeptical that will happen. But nonetheless, I could see a group doing that for the media coverage or just for their own internal consumption. It's something to show on the internet. And I don't think it's anything dramatic or anything to be worried about. It would just be a group that goes out there, videotapes themselves doing something dramatic, and then putting it on the internet to gain more followers. We stood up to them.
Well, here's the thing. I think maybe part of Abu's skepticism comes from the fact that a lot of times these Hebrew Israelites say they're going to do something, and then they don't. It's like an old song I heard from a group that did a sort of a acid jazz style Brooklyn Trio or something like that, I forget, in the 90s. And they had this song about how they were going to have a revolution, but it kept on raining. And they made an analogy about storming the Bastille, which set off the French Revolution. And the whole song played upon the idea of storming the Bastille. And the whole song, they were like, well, we were gonna go storm the Bastille, but then it rained. We were going to go do storm the Bastille, but then I had a flat tire. And it was like all these excuses to why there'd be no revolution. I found the song pretty funny. I think what Abu might be saying is sometimes these guys are like that. We will see if they show up, but I would tell you guys this. If they do show up and you live in Kentucky or Cincinnati, the absolute best thing you can do is do not engage, do not interact, because it could become a media circus. Now, I'm saying that because I don't think there's any capable Christian apologists. Now, if there was some capable Christian apologist out in that area, like maybe Chris Jones, who I know lives in Kentucky, that I would say, hey, go share the gospel, see what happens. But, I'm just sharing. Now, we got some other clips we want to share here. I want to share the one here where they say, you better watch out because there might not be any police come to rescue you. Check this out.
You're going to be able to call 911, Peckerwood. You ain't going to be able to call 911, Corner Store, Caroline.
That's right.
911, Peckerwood.
You ain't going to be able to call 911, Peckerwood. You ain't going to be able to call 911, Corner Store, Caroline. So listen to these guys. Watch.
You ain't going to be able to call 911, Corner Store, Caroline. You're not going to be able to. We're going to see the survival of the fittest death.
The purge, Jack.
We're going to see the purge.
That's right.
Because the purge is coming.
Right.
I hope you crackers are ready.
That's right.
I hope you crackers are ready, right? Because we know where to go get the food from.
That's right.
That's right.
We know where to get more ammo from.
Y'all ready.
I hope y'all ready.
Hope you ready.
That's right. Y'all better be ready.
Hope you ready.
Go ahead.
Now, this is actually quite insane what they're actually saying. Let me exegete this a little bit, everybody. He said in the earlier clip right before here that it might happen sooner than you think. You know, the guys might get his head cracked down to the white meat, right? Remember that? Now, that could have a double meaning for him. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. One could be the fact that a lot of Hebrew Israelites believe that 2019 is when Yahushua is going to come back and the so-called new kingdom gets set up. So it could be him referencing the 2019 false prophecy about the 400 years. However, this is speculation because I do not know for certain if House of Israel holds to the 400-year false prophecy about 2019 being when Yahushua sets up the new kingdom. I tend to doubt it, primarily because mainly non-One Westers are those who hold the 400-year false prophecy 2019 joint. Now, nonetheless, he's saying in reference to the government shutdown, he sees that as a sign of Yahweh's judgment upon America, which may or may not be true, by the way. Everything the Hebrew Israelites say doesn't have to necessarily be false. And
Yeah, I was thinking that
right.
one might be correct.
Yeah, no doubt. We believe in the divine. We believe in a God who acts in time, which rhymed. And so what I'm saying is that he's saying that here, and he's saying you're not going to be able to call the cops, but listen to what he says. He says it's going to be survival of the fittest then. We know where to find the food. We know where to get more ammo at. It's going to be The Purge. The Purge is a movie. I don't know if it's come out or not yet. I saw the trailer. It's not a kind of movie I'd watch, but I do remember seeing the trailer. And it was clear what the synopsis of the movie is where in the future there will be one night allowed where people are allowed to essentially kill each other, sort of a mob democracy. I don't know all the rules of sort of the game that were set up in the movie, The Purge, but I knew the basic premise was you could go get people. You could go kill them, and you would not be charged with murder. It was legal. You were allowed to do it on that night called The Purge, and the idea was to take out the weak members of society. He's saying it's going to be a purge. He's saying it's going to be us coming to kill you guys. Now, I don't accuse people often of sparking a race war and that kind of, terminology, but that's clearly race war invocation right there. Abu Khamr. By the way, a couple people asked earlier, who's the guy speaking? This is Abu Khamr. He's been studying Hebrew Israelism since the 90s. He's an East Coast guy himself, as you can probably tell, and has personal familiarity with some of these folks, and is someone that I love to speak with about these matters. I think we make a good team. But Abu, what about that comment? I've never actually heard them speak in that exact way. Have you?
Maybe not that exact way, but it is typical of them to, fantasize about future riots, race riots, or other sorts of chaos, the sort of apocalyptic chaos that's going to ensue, in which they're going to come out on top. It is interesting that they're invoking, ammunition rather than spiritual powers. I think most of us who watch GMS have gotten used to them, predicting that they're going to have spiritual powers and, fly and shoot laser beams out their eyes or whatever. But these guys are nonetheless, so it's interesting that they're going for something more carnal, I guess, something more. They know where the ammunition is. I don't know. At the same time, it's just I interpret it again within that same psychological phenomenon of them engaging in these very public fantasies where they share their fantasies in public, but it's not so much to convince anyone else, because I think they're well aware that they're not convincing anyone out there about that. It's more for themselves to feel better about the future. Right now they're a spectacle, but they assure themselves that real soon everything's going to fall apart and they're going to have the upper hand, and the people who didn't go along with them are going to have blood on their skateboards, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, I had a great clip for that. Where did that clip go? I've got to find that clip. What you just said, I've got a clip. Guys, give me a second. What he just said, I've got a clip for. Oh, man, is it here?
Looking forward to that.
Is it here? I think it's in another place. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. Hold on. Oh, shoot. Did I not? Okay, this is going to take me a second. I'm going to have to create this clip. I thought I had rendered it properly, but it's going to tie into literally what you just said. So while we do that, I'm going to play some other ones. And then, Abu, I'm going to let you kind of be the guy to comment on them because I need to take a second to actually grab this clip, but I don't want downtime. So I'm going to now go, I'm going to go all the way to the beginning of this new video that I found. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play some of the first things which show them attacking the Native Americans' beliefs, which, you know, the media would never cover. Is kind of my point by that, is to show to sort of how hostile they were. And imagine if the kids had said anything like this. So I'm going to play these clips right now while I create this other clip.
All right, bring that out.
You want to worship them. You want to worship a wind. Worship a fire. That's the reason why the white man got his foot in your ass. That's the reason why Standing Rock ain't standing no damn more. That's the reason why you're drunkards in the damn casinos and the plantations. You want to drink fire water. The Lord said, show you your sins, man. He said, if you make your head hard, make our head harder.
That's right.
We ain't scared of y'all. You don't see the angels protecting us. That's right. We show respect to our God. We show. So what you worship? So what you worship? That's the reason why you stuck on stupid. You want to call me a motherfucker. But you talking all that. You don't even know what we talking about. That's the problem. A bunch of demons. Always talking out their ass. Always talking out their ass. But you won't say that to this Peckerwood. We're to make America great and again. You bunch of Uncle Tomahawks. Why you don't fuck that Peckerwood with that head on?
Backing away.
Right. Why you don't fuck his head? Why you don't speak to him like that? Because you're Uncle Tomahawk.
That's right.
Bring it out,
You think that's Uncle Tom's? You're Uncle Tomahawk.
That's right.
Out your mind. Got your head up the white man's ass. Talk about peace, peace. Ain't gonna be no peace. You're gonna be ripped in pieces. Thus saith the Lord, if you don't repent from your wicked ways. That's what we out here trying to tell you. Huh? Where it shows it? Give me Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter. We're going to show you hate in the Bible. Let's hear it. That's a great question.
I like him.
I like
him. I like him. I like him.
I like that. He wants to see hate in the Bible. Let's see hate in the Bible. Let's see where the Christians and the Catholics don't go into. Let's see.
Yeah, I mean, that's just more of the same, some of the same old getting into it. By the way, it's relevant to the question of who showed more disrespect towards these Native American protesters. I mean, as we've already covered several times, they came out there deliberately looking for an opportunity to antagonize these Native American protesters, and they got their wish. They insulted them, they got the negative reactions they wanted, and then it just escalates from there to cursing and threats and the public fantasies and so on down the line.
All right, so yeah, that's the second time I believe where you've got a situation where it's like kind of looks like, you know, a fight's about to happen. Remember we showed that other clip. Both of them were with the Native American folks, the Indigenous Day protester people. If you notice that. That's the second time. And if you listen to the clip, the guy's like, why don't you learn about my culture? And he's saying stuff like that because, you know, what they had said prior. It looks like that clip is up. Let me play 2 more things from this. And then, yeah, let me, well, actually, you know what? I think now's a good time. Let me play one more clip. This video is going to get flagged because of this language, but it's their fault, not mine, everyone. All right, listen to this. He gives his rendition of the 10 Commandments here, which is rather interesting. Check this out.
The Lord on the mountain, he said, thou shalt and thou shalt not. He said, thou shalt not be a faggot. He said, thou shalt not be a lesbian. That's what the Lord said. So that's what we are here to tell you. You understand? Give me Isaiah, would you add? Give me that. Give me that.
I don't know what they saw that led them to think they needed to say that, but Is that abnormal for them to talk that way, Abu?
No, not at all. Well, yeah, no. For the most part, no. It's not unheard of amongst these various groups. The emphasis on homosexuality is something that seems to have really grown over the years. I mean, there's always been people doing this amongst them, but it seems it's increased. I guess it's increased with the rise of gay rights activism. Maybe there's a parallel there or something. Maybe there, some sort of a correlation. But yeah, there is a constant recourse to that amongst some of these groups, especially GMS, and I guess also House of Israel. This constant, we're not talking about it, but let's just bring up, homosexuality and rail against that for a little while.
All right.
And
with that in mind, listen to this clip.
When we speak like this, it's because, and you think we're crazy, it's because you believe in a faggot child molester. That's the problem. But you don't want to hear this. Go ahead.
All right, so they're saying there that you think we're crazy. You don't believe us. The reason is because of who you believe in. And what are they doing, everyone? They're pointing to a picture of someone they would say is Jesus. Now, you've got to explain this as well, Abu.
Okay, it's been a very common thing, apparently, way back before all the splits amongst the various One West groups. The leadership at the ICUPK, the original One West group, had found a book that mentioned that some artist in the time of the Borgia popes may have had Cesare Borgia, whom they ignorantly call Caesar Borgias, had said Cesare Borgia pose for a picture of Jesus or some other image or something to that effect, and so they've leaped to the conclusion that...
So you're referring there to Cesare Borgia?
Cesare Borgia, yeah, Cesare Borgia.
Cesare Borgia! You're referring to Cesare Borgia.
Cesare Borgia. So, he was the son of, if I'm not mistaken, he was the son of one of the popes and stuff like that. The Borgia popes were known for being somewhat outside of what would be considered proper decorum for the papacy. But nonetheless...
Well, by the way, everyone, what we're doing is, since he was an Italian family, we're over dramatizing the Italian pronunciation of his name, which we
I would say that's the way it's actually pronounced. That's the way my father pronounced it.
Cesare Borgia.
Cesare Borgia, yeah.
Cesare Borgia. It's me,
father
Mario. Look at the Cesare Borgia.
But yeah,
Pronto, finito. Cesare Borgia. Okay, go ahead. Okay.
No problem. As a result of the original school finding some literature that mentioned that some certain depictions of saints, maybe even Jesus, had employed Cesare Borgia as a model, the son of one of the Borgia popes, these medieval Italian popes, that they reached the conclusion that any, seemingly European-looking image of Jesus that you have, that's actually, as they call it, Caesar Borgia.
Cesare Borgia.
Cesare Borgia, they mean. But of course, they say Caesar Borgias, and so that's their whole thing, and they also accuse him of being a homosexual and a child molester and so on down the line. So I guess that's what they're saying. You worship white Jesus, so you're really worshiping Cesare Borgia or Caesar Borgias, and therefore, that's why you wrongly think we're crazy. It's very important.
The funny thing is, oh, that's why you think we're crazy. Not for,
It's because your mind is warped.
It can't be anything else. It's because you worship Cesare Borgia, not for anything else. Not, for example, this next clip, which, by the way, I just finished rendering. This is a clip I was finding that was directly related to what Abu said. This is the real reason maybe they thought you were crazy. Listen to this.
And with his chariots like a whirlwind. What is the chariots? I'm going to drop something on you. The chariots are the so-called UFOs, man. Y'all don't believe in that? Y'all don't believe in that?
No, they don't.
I know y'all don't. Y'all think we comic book characters. Y'all think we crazy. Y'all think we deranged. But guess what? The Lord said, surely oppression make a wise man mad. And if you niggas ain't mad, it's because you have absolutely no wisdom.
Unlike House of Israel, who has been blessed with loads of wisdom, because they realize that the chariots mentioned in Ezekiel are actually UFOs. What is the UFO in One West parlance? It is a spacecraft designed by Yahweh himself, flown by black angelic beings, here to rain down fire upon the new Babylon when it's time for the Hebrew Israelites to take their seat in the new kingdom. And the UFOs manned by the Black Angels are simply scouting out the territory, saying set phasers not for stun, but full power. Sorry.
No, hey, I remember in the 90s when that movie, what's it called? Independence Day came out. Yes, when Independence Day came out in the mid-90s, they would literally have a poster of the spaceship with the clouds, and they would point to that. They were like, there you go, just like that. That's going to be the chariots coming, shooting these laser beams and melting all of these people, and, and so on and so on and so on, and there won't be any more, and then, assorted slurs.
Hey, guys, by the way, some of the mods are being a little too restrictive. Guys, I know we got different people in here. Here's the way it goes. Some people won't like this, but this is the way I run my channel. If people come in, like with white nationalist type of racist, stuff like that, we don't really show any tolerance for that, right? Just, right? Nothing at all. If they're Hebrew Israelites and they come in, we cut them a little slack. We let them, do the whole Edomite thing, all that stuff. And sometimes it's good to let their comments remain on the screen just because of how crazy it is. And so you kind of have to, have a certain flow. It's almost like you're feeling the vibe, like jazz players flowing off of each other. Now, some people don't like that because the rules kind of fluctuate. Yeah, it's true. Why? Because the Hebrew Israelites' insanity in the comments, if they do them, I'm going to rape your daughter, it sometimes plays into the conversation in an important way. And so, just kind of let it flow, and the other mods will kind of know, and I'll look out on there and stuff like that. Anyways, so there's the UFO clip, which is very interesting. And you know what, guys? Believe it or not, I think I've played all the clips. I had a couple more, but I think we're fine. I don't think we need to play them. I think we can end it with freestyle.
That clip was helpful also, and it showed how concerned they are that people think they're crazy. And they realize that people think they're crazy. But the way they counteract that is, not only by conveying that concern, letting that concern slip, but also by engaging in this already mentioned multiple times tactic of the publicly stated fantasy of sharing their hope or their belief that in the future everything's going to change and, nobody's going to be laughing at them then, And
if you are laughing at them, it's because you believe in Chesa de Boja. Mamma mia! I mean, come on, guys, look at me. Look. I can say it. All right. All right, here's what we're going to do. It's time to freestyle. Now, there's a lag on the video today. So what that means is the freestyle is going to lag a little bit, too. By the way, Lady Justice asked, was this at the March for Life demonstration? Yes, it was. And it turned into something crazy. They weren't there for the March for Life. They were there for the Indigenous Peoples Day. That's why they were there. Okay, Abu, wrap up what we've talked about today, and then I'm going to set up this freestyle. And here's why. We got over 100 viewers today, but I'm going to still owe everyone one, like Warrior Woman, Rox B, Mark Cleveland, Built for Speed, D New, Carmel Crunk, some of the faithful OGs. I'm going to owe you guys a freestyle. Elizabeth Salvatore on the next show. But this is for today's show, and then I'll give you that other one next time. Gerard Perry, all of you guys, much love to you guys. Kim McCracken, David Doss, all right? And so summarize what we've talked about here today, and I'm going to set up the freestyle, my man.
Okay. What this really showed was that two things. Number one, it really captures how the Israelite group that was present there in this three-way clash between the Native Americans, the Hebrew Israelites, and the Catholic school students. What it showed is that by far the worst of the three groups are the Israelites, and they were attacking anyone and everyone, just nonstop, literally spinning around to attack new targets. Secondly, it also it makes an utter mockery of that people of the concern for these Catholic students smirking or chanting, doing a school chant while the drummers drummed, in light of the fact that if you're looking for a group that was behaving vile, that was deliberately going out of its way to disrespect these Native American protesters, it happens that group is not those Catholic students. It's these guys, unfortunately. This is their missionary method to attempt to hurt these Native Americans. And it's
all right. That's a perfect summary. Now, Abu, jump in the live chat if you can. Everyone in the live chat, give me the comments to talk about. I did not get a chance to write them all down. But, again, my actions are going to be a little off because there's a lag time here. But this beat is provided by Jonathan Soko. Much love to you, because I believe I saw you up in the live chat today. And this is just to have fun. It's a way we break up the apologetic seriousness. And we don't rock red and white hats, but we do say we're here to make apologetics fun again. By the way, it was never fun in the first place. All right, but that's where we come in. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I am finding a beat. I'm about to do this thing. And you guys are going to provide the topics. Improv, freestyle, off the top of the head. Like and share this video. Let me see which beat I'm going to use, guys. Hold on. Oh, yeah. I like it. All right, guys. You guys need to tell me about the sound levels, okay? Tell me.
I'll be listening.
Yeah, right. So if I was rapping about this level, how would it be, guys? I need you guys to tell me, okay? All right, I'm about to do this thing. How's that sound level? I gotta have the music loud because I'm concerned about making sure the music is loud enough. It's kind of a key way for it to sound good. All right. So let's try this. Good. I see you guys' comments. Those perfect. All right. It's time to rock, chop, chop. Uncle Tomahawk, Not a word I would use, but it is something those who abuse like. Hebrew Israelites, they're the type. There is real light, meaning L-I-T-E. They're not real E, L-I-G-H-E, H-O-I, you see, So we got to rock, no tomahawk. What's up, Sabak? Your camp is crazy. Hey, you couldn't pay me to watch your videos again. Today was enough, this beat. You know it's tough, white meat. Down to the helmet, rocking the beat. And now we got to rip it. Indeedy, check this out now, we are speedy. We got the flow, like a snow cone. Props to the man, Jonathan Soko. Yes, y'all, we do it right. My mic is white, you know it's hype. It's time to spit. 1, 2, 3, they're not legit Hebrew Israelites. They appropriate the culture. They're the true culture vulture. This is true, I don't mean to insult you, but you know you worship UFOs. Ezekiel bro is not saying that, it's saying something different. You need to read with your black boots and pants. You got a lot of pockets. Why? So you can dance out on the avenue. Let me trouble you with Acts chapter 2. Coming through, it speaks to many nations. Check this out now, your generations be a curse. The Edomite, or so you say, but you not right. So we rock this beat, and it's all good. I know that you hate the Pecka Woods, in the woods of Kentucky. So just let me grab the beat. I'm not lucky, not Luciano, but Italiano. Peep this out now, I speak what I know. Caesar Borgia, or you could say Cesare Borgia. Check it out now, I don't wanna bore ya. With the combat boots, you say Gad is the troop. Genesis 49, but you can't read between the lines, but you do because of Aria. That's kinda whack, so we're laughing at ya. But in love, we'll teach you the proper exegesis and how to see Jesus. Peep this, he'll free us from the chains of mental slavery. You think you're so ill, you got the bravery, threatening kids who just learn how to shave. You're not that brave, you misbehave. When you hit your grave, you better be saved. Jesus the Christ, he's the only way. I say to you, apartheid is going out and acting hardly adult, and it's your fault, or maybe it's the fault of your cult that taught you and bought you. Listen now, I'm rocking through. Peep this out. 1, 2, 3. You made a mess in Washington D.C. Cesare Borgia. All right. Let's do it one more time. Let's do it one more time. We're gonna have fun here. I see the comments, guys. I see them. I see him. So keep on with them. We'll do one more. We'll do one more because you guys have been real faithful, and I know it's been kind of an intense show. Oh, yeah, this is the last. This beat's dope, man. Jonathan Sokol be hooking it up. I see your comments. So I'm gonna try to get to these. All right. What about the sound levels, guys? I need to know about the sound levels because that beat has to be loud enough. If the beat is not loud enough, it just doesn't sound right in the result. So we got to have the beat loud enough. So let me know. If it's too loud, you can't hear me, that's one thing. But if you're just old and you want it down, bump you. Just playing. But this is the end, everybody. And I'll let you know about the rest of the schedule. Follow me on social media. Like this video. Watch Exploring Islam on Facebook. All that jazz. Abu, this is the last freestyle. And we're going to end this joint like this. How's that beat, everybody? How's it sound, everybody? Pretty dope, pretty dope. Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah. Real nice. Ha ha. I'll represent the South, not the dub. What's up, lifeline love? I see you in the chat. Hey yo, I got a black cat. Check it out, the beats old school Atario. Check it out, I say it's me, Mario. 1, 2, 3, a real MC. I got a brother named Luigi. What's up, Roxy? Thanks for holding it down. Jesus Christ, he has a crown. Pass it around, give it back. I don't wear no pound boots that are black. I do rock that new style, my man. You know I love some Timberland. Keep this all across the land. In Washington, but not Denzel, man. I got a chat, I got some folks, I got some friends turning up. Then now we rockin' again. Keep this out now, we keep it again. We keep it 100. You know I'm not blunted, I can freestyle anyway. You know that I want to mention this, and this ain't no junk. What's up to the skateboard with the Daft Punk stuff? The dude was the bomb. He kinda looked like he was part of Tron with the blue cycle. Peep this out now, you know I might go crazy. Peep this out, I hear you guys, and now I will shout. I'm not Michael Jackson, but I'm still bad. And I'm Italian, not from the tribe of Gad. Uh-oh, that's the 12 tribes, but Arya lied before he died. Okay, I see your choice. Everybody's saying turn up my voice, and so I will. I step in the room. Hello, how you doing? You know I consume the volume to make it louder. My show is much funner than Louder with Crowder. No doubt, sir. Eat the beat like chowder. That's the soup. Gad is the truth. Or so they say, but they're wrong that way. Peep this out now, see Caesar Bajorgier, or whatever they say. Peep this, I rant. Been West says to mention school chants from Covington. I'm in a coven that I'm loving it. Peep this, all government is shut down, like this beat shuts down. Check this out now, Israelites be acting the clown. At least in the video, the dude was acting like crazy, bro. Peep this out, it's colder than snow. I rock this for show, I like G.I. Joe. 1, 2, 3, I'm safe from hell. Nate says the beat needs more cowbell. I spit vowels, I'm wise like an owl. Yes, y'all, down to my vowels. I won't get them, and that's no doubt. The dude said, get out, you gotta get out. Yes, I'm peeking, now I'm freaking. Karen Fisher says, mention the Puerto Rican. The dude on the skateboard like an alien. You know we are coming again. Hey yo, the beat is right, the beat is nice. I slice and nice. We gotta go far. What's up, Abu Khamr? Tonight, bro, you were the superstar. Woo! Okay, guys, well, that is the end of this program of Street Apologist. The edition is over. Check this out, bro. I need everybody to like and share this video. I need to end this right now. Will I be going live on Tuesday? I don't know. Doing 2 live streams like today was abnormal and hurts my back. I don't know why. I'm be sitting in this chair, man, too long editing and all that. My back, man, it's just, you know, I need a new chair. Someone buy me a new chair. But Abu, thanks for joining, man. You got the final words, and I'm going to play the outro, and we're going to call this, call it a night.
That's it. Good night. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Everyone, he's doing that as a jest. All right, here it is. Much love to the live chat. Peace out, ladies and gentlemen.
Turn your radio up. Whoa. Radio time. Whoa. You're now listening to Street Apologist. Street Apologist.